If you have been a private sector employee who has been working all your life in private sector, there's something that happens end of the month. That means 8% of your earnings get deducted for EPF, and 15% of your earnings, a contribution from your employer, goes down to a saving. That's a mandatory saving which we call as EPF and ETF. Unfortunately, most people tend to look at the take-home salary but do not give lot of attention to the deducted 23% of your hard-earned money. So this money is withdrawn or taken, and your employer deposits this on behalf of you in the central bank, in account in the central bank. So in simple, if you are a person who earns more than 50,000 rupees, you might already have about 1 million in your savings account, and if you are a high earner, maybe it's beyond 10 million as well. So it's your hard-earned money that's been saved in order for you to withdraw this, get benefits by the time you retire. So if you're a male employee, you have to wait till 55. If you're a female, you have to wait till 50. But also at the same time, these funds do have other benefits as well. They have insurance facilities, and you can use your EPF as a guarantee for your housing loan. You can actually take 75% of it, right? So whatever it is, so this huge fund that we have collected, which is about 4 trillion, has continued to be misused by the corrupt regimes that we had. So what's going to happen now? So first, you need to know that you have a really big fund saved under a corrupt regime. That is the first thing. And you need to know this fund was a statutory right, a civil right, because it's a social security fund that you and your employer has created. Unfortunately, most of our people do not know how much of a balance they do have. Actually, that is possible to get this balance online, and also you can go and visit the EPF department and find out how much rich are you. And at the time of a crisis, it's very much in need that we are looking for sources of funding, and we already have a fund that's there. And if you are not working anymore, you can withdraw it for certain reasons. You can claim it, and also if you are married, if you got married, and if you are a female, and you still have a right to take it. And if you also now think of going abroad, you should take that money, because they are going to eat it live within next few years. So what has happened now is, so say that you had an accumulated fund of 1 million rupees. So the government or the central bank invested this 1 million rupees in the government, the corrupt government, over the last few years, and they were to get a return of 13.4% on average on a monthly basis. Actually 6 months basis, you were supposed to get a coupon of 13.04% on your funds. And since the government is bankrupt and the government is not ready to recover the losses from the people who are responsible, or people who has defaulted taxes, or people who has misused our tax money, or from the people who are benefited from this crony capitalism, they have decided to take your funds from your savings. This whole loss they are going to recover from your savings. How are they going to do it? So they basically saying the 13.4% due to you, your fund, that's 1 million rupees. You should have got about 130,000 rupees annually, and they're saying, no, look, we are going to give you 9.1% on the return. This is not the return that you get on your account. This is the return to the fund. And mind you, if you have invested this money in a wealth fund like First Capital or in EB, there are funds who only invest in government securities, you would have got about 26% or 29% this year. Now, if you have invested this in a private fund, you could have had a voice, you could have a choice to take it out and put it in another fund manager. So the fund manager, unfortunately this time, it's a person who robbed our money. So the fund manager at this point is a central bank, and central bank has not made its right choices or right decisions across the years managing the fiscal and the monetary policy of this country. And now, since they are in trouble, they are proposing this ETF and the ETF you need to take this cut or you need to take this hit. And on whose behalf? It's our behalf. And there's no right for central bank governor to do this. It's a huge conflict of interest. Leave that aside, right? So now what I'm trying to tell you is, even you don't know, you have a huge saving lying on an investment fund that is not going to get managed properly even in future. And they're saying your fund, whilst it can be invested or reinvested at higher returns in the market, they're going to give you a return of 9%. Is that fair? It's not fair. And it's not fair in the context that the burden is not shared by anyone else. The burden is not shared by the corrupt politicians. The burden is not shared by the crony capitalists who gained from every import that comes to this country. It's not being shared by the people who never paid tax to the state. It's not being bared by the people who has to pay tax and still defaulted. No, right? They are going to take it from your savings of your hard-earned money, which you saved 23% of your working life onto a government account. So again, and 2.5 million active contributors are there. So if you are still working in a private sector, your money goes into this account and they are misusing it. And if you are over 55, I think you should be able to take this out and reinvest in a better place. And if you do have a requirement like, building a house, taking an asset, I think that's the right time, because they are going to reduce your real value of your investment. So if you do have a right to take it back, and if it's ETF, every 5 years you can take it back. I think you should. And if it's EPF, if you are eligible to take it back, if you're migrating, take it back. If you have other investment opportunities, if you are 55, I think you should take it back. And you should not allow these corrupt regimes to misuse your funds any further. Because if it's ethical, if it's countries at difficulty, and they should be acting ethically. No, they are not transparent, they are not fixing the system, they are trying to safeguard the corrupt system and pass the whole burden to us. Why should we? We as citizens, we had rights, we worked hard. It's our hard-earned money that's on the central bank. And if you do have a right, and if you're a female who got married and if you decided that you're not going to work anymore, please take it back. There's no point lying. Mostly because you don't know that you have such amount that's stuck there, you don't understand the gravity of the problem. Right? If anybody who has 10 million, imagine the loss that you are going to incur every year by putting or keeping your money in a place where it's going to get eaten out within the next few years because the country is not going in the right direction. So again, I'm trying to give you few insights. First, you need to go and bloody check this amount and understand how much you have. That's first. Second, you need to understand what is the injustice that's happening, even you are not really interested. Because some of you think whatever that's cut and whatever given to you to hand is the earnings I have. No, your earnings is 20% more than what you get into your hand. And your earnings are saved in a government account. This is not fair. And they should continue to improve these returns. They should get better market rates. The wealth maximization of that fund is a sole responsibility of the central bank. And mind you, central bank's superannuation fund this year has earned 29%. In your fund, they are going to give 9%. So be active citizens. If you want to change the system, you don't have to do politics. You just have to be conscious about what's going around. And it's not about the 10 million in your account, because maybe you are so rich enough that you don't care. But what about the workers on the streets? What about the people who work in government sector? What about the people who work on the road? Their only bloody savings is this EPF and ETF. And maybe it's 5 lakhs, but that's a huge savings for them. Maybe it's 1 million. It's their life, it's their children's life. Maybe it's 5 million, it might be their children's education. Maybe it's 5 million, that is the only wealth they have ever earned. Maybe not like you. Maybe you can ignore, that's fine. But be conscious about this. Be aware about this. Be aware about the rights that you have and speak up for the unjust. Share it among everybody who works in the private sector. I don't mind. If you already know the situation, if you are happy to live under a corrupt government, it's your choice. If you already decided to leave this country, it's your choice. But always stand for the right. We went to courts. I went to courts personally. I was not given any justice. I again put a petition on this 20th. It's going to get heard. I don't know how it's going to take place. But this is inequitable and this is huge robbery that's taking place without your knowledge, without the details that you know, without you being concerned about millions of the working class which are earning, who has earned very less than, or who has been less fortunate than you. Yes, I understand. If you're earning 200,000, 300,000, probably 20% cut, I don't think it makes a big deal. Maybe your employer has already compensated for inflation. But what about the people who earn 30,000 a month? What about the people who earn 50,000 a month? That's their entire life saving. That's these guys are robbing. So just share this video if you think I've told you the truth, and it should be shared and everybody should know. And if we all, after the knowledge, if you all decide this is the only thing the government can do, the corrupt, to uphold the corruption, to safeguard the corruption, to control, ensure the system is saved, if this is the only thing that they can do,